Don't start a helium balloon business until you've watched this video. My name is Celia, and 5 years ago I started my balloon event decorating business. I started my business with zero experience and I wasted a lot of time and money because I had no idea what I was really doing. If you're thinking of starting a helium balloon business, watch this video. I'm gonna tell you why you shouldn't start a helium balloon business, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what you should do instead, and plus it's 10 times more profitable. So you're thinking of starting a helium balloon business. Before you go and suss out helium tanks or start buying balloons, please watch this entire video because I'm going to give you 3 key reasons as to why you shouldn't be starting a helium balloon business. Before we get started, I'm going to give you a bit of background on who I am and how I started my balloon business. So I started my balloon business over 5 years ago when I saw a gap in my hometown market. There was no one doing what I wanted to do in my hometown, so I thought, let's start a business. When I first started, I was working full-time in my corporate 9 to 5, and I thought I would just do the balloon business on weekends, thinking it might just be like a couple of hours on a Saturday morning. But within the first month, that turned into 8 to 10 hour days on a Saturday and sometimes a Sunday, and the business just went mental. Now, I am trying to keep this introduction short and sweet, but if you do want to hear a more detailed reason of how I started my business, what I did, what I didn't do, lots of pros and cons stuff, check out all the other videos on my YouTube channel. I will link them below, but I'll also link them at the end of this video. Now, helium. So when I started my balloon business, we did do helium at the start, but to be honest, when we first started, I thought that helium was gonna be our primary thing. Like, we'd just be doing big confetti balloons as like our only real product. Then we moved into balloon garlands, and that's when things completely changed. So our balloon garland installs are bright, they're colorful, they're big, they're the perfect backdrop for events. And then we basically just did helium as like an add-on to like fill up the room, tie the entire like function room together. Now, from when we started right up till 2020, that's exactly what we were doing. Predominantly our garlands and our big balloon installs, plus a little bit of helium. Then 2020 happened, and if you've seen my other videos, you would have known what happened in more detail. But basically, 2020 happened. I live in regional Victoria, Australia. And if you're familiar with what happened to us in 2020, we were basically in and out of lockdowns for, I think we had 7 different lockdowns in total, maybe. But basically, all events were off. Everything was shut down. There was no events. So if there's no events, there's no event decorating. However, if we go back to March 2020 when the first lockdown happened, we actually closed our business entirely during that first lockdown because we weren't sure what was going to happen and events were all cancelled. However, during that time, we started to get a lot of messages to our Facebook page of people wanting to send a bunch of balloons to a family member or a friend because they couldn't celebrate with them in person, but they still wanted to gift them something. I mean, we were all locked down in our houses. We couldn't see people, so we decided to completely pivot our business, park all of the event decorating side of things, and just go hard on helium daily deliveries. That's where we built our balloon website and we did daily deliveries, and to be honest, helium kind of kept our business running during the pandemic. Now, the thing is though, profit margins of helium balloon bunches are minimal, and I'm going to touch on this in more depth later in the video. But long story short, January 2022 is when we started to see our business actually return to what it was kind of like pre-COVID. We had lots of events being booked in, people booking in months in advance, which was really great to see. So basically, we started doing our big event installs again, and we would just go back to doing helium as like an add-on, like a couple of bunches that would go in with a room to sort of tie all the color scheme together kind of thing. Now I'm going to get into the 3 reasons of why you shouldn't start a helium balloon business, and the first one is helium shortage. So about 3 to 4 months ago in June, July of 2022, there was a helium shortage. This came out of literally nowhere, and I don't know if that's because like I should also cover. So when it comes to helium, in my business, what we used to do is you would rent a helium tank. So you would pay a daily rental fee, which is, I can't remember exactly how much it was. I think it was between 20 cents and 50 cents, somewhere in there. So you would pay a daily rental fee, but you would also be paying for the helium itself, which was the expensive part, right? So we would order our tanks depending on how much we're using them. So sometimes we would need a new tank every week, sometimes it was every fortnight. It would just depend on how much we're using it. I remember I went to drop a tank back to pick up a new one, which I usually would from my supplier. No issues. I've never had any issues with this. And then I got there and they're like, oh, sorry, we actually have 0 tanks. I was like, 0? No tanks? I'm pretty sure this was on a Thursday, and then we had Saturday and Sunday helium balloon orders. And there is nothing you can do when there's a shortage. You can't just pluck a helium tank out of thin air. What we could have done is we could have gone to one of the party shops and bought like those really small helium tanks that are mainly aimed at people doing like home parties or whatever. But the profit margins off that helium would be 0, absolutely 0. And I'm going to cover profit margins later in this video. But one of the reasons that you shouldn't start a helium business is because helium shortages can come out of nowhere and they can completely throw your business upside down. And when I say upside down, I basically mean if there's a shortage and you can't get helium, you then have to cancel orders, refund your customers, and it's just not fun. It's not fun at all. Now, reason 2, which follows on from reason number 1, is helium price increases. So when that shortage happened in June and July, after that happened, we'd cancelled all of our future helium orders because we just didn't know when the shortage was going to end and when helium tanks would come back. And to be honest, this was my saving grace, and I'm so glad that we cancelled, and we also stopped taking on any new orders because my partner and I actually went to America, and when we came home from America, I rang up my supplier. I'd also heard whispers that there was like this crazy price increase for helium, and I thought, surely not, like surely it can't be that crazy. Anyway, so I rang my supplier and I was like, hey, we're back from holidays, how's the shortage going? Can we order a tank? Like what's the situation basically? She said to me, yep, we have tanks available, however there is a 65% increase in the cost. When would you like to pick it up? 65%? Are you joking? Now again, this is something that I can't control. I can't protest against it. I can't go and find a cheaper helium tank. It's just something we had to deal with. So I decided to entirely scrap helium altogether. And to be honest, it has been the greatest blessing. And I'm gonna tell you why. In my business, when we do helium bunches, we always make them up on the day of installations. But on the other side of things, when we make up our balloon garlands, we can make them up 1 to 2 or even 3 days in advance. This makes our weekend flow so much smoother, and not having to worry about helium makes my life so much cruisier. So I actually love not doing helium. The profit margins of helium bunches have always been minimal. We only really did them because they complemented our balloon garland and the other products that we would rent out or sell. So to summarize everything we've said so far, the 2 reasons of why you shouldn't start a helium balloon business is 1, shortages can come out of nowhere, and 2, you have no control over pricing increases. Now we're gonna move on to number 3, which is the biggest key reason why you shouldn't start a helium balloon business, and that is profit margins. The profit margins of helium are minimal. Absolutely minimal, and I'm gonna show you an example and explain it in further depth. We're getting serious when you see a table on the screen, but I'm gonna run you through this. So in my business, prior to the shortage, we used to charge $2 for 1 plain latex balloon. Now this is just a plain balloon. This isn't a confetti balloon or a chrome balloon. This is just a plain balloon. So we would charge $2. Of that $2, I'm going to show you what the breakdown is for cost of materials and the helium, and then what our profit is left over. So I'm just going to say it's going to be 15 cents for the cost of the balloon and the string, which leaves us with $1.85. Then I'm going to say it costs us 70 cents for the helium. Now this is back before the price increase, right? So 70 cents for helium, and we're left with $1.15 in profit. Great, so we're profitable. However, let's say that you're making up a bunch of 10 plain balloons. So $2 times 10 is $20. So we've got $20 for a bunch of 10 plain balloons, and then we tie it into a weight. So you'll see on the table here, we've got the cost of the helium balloon, $2, minus the string in the balloon, minus the helium, we're left with $1.15, and then we look at the weight. So we charge $2.50 for a weight, which is what we tie the balloons into. So we charge $2.50 for the weight, and it costs us 65 cents. So it's a profit of $1.85. So then, if we're doing a bunch of 10 balloons and a weight, we're charging our customers $22.50, and of that $22.50, our profit is $13.35, which doesn't sound too bad, right? Wrong. The thing you've got to think about when it comes to profit margins is, let's say that that balloon bunch took maybe 20 minutes to make. That's probably a little bit too much time, but let's just say 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, you made $10, or what was it, $13.35. How many times do you have to do that to make a good hourly rate? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what you should do. What you should be doing is starting a balloon garland business instead. A balloon garland business is 10 times, literally 10 times more profitable than it is to start a helium balloon business. Balloons are in stock. You can get balloons of all different colors. Look at all the balloons behind me. There's boxes, there's all of this down here. The big thing is that you're filling them with air, you're not filling them with helium. If you would like help starting a successful balloon garland business, I actually have 2 courses available. One is $350 US, but I do have a 50% discount code, so keep listening. And the other one is $100, which you can also use the 50% discount code on. The balloon garland business course teaches you how to start a successful balloon garland business. So not only do we teach you how to make and create and install a balloon garland, but we also teach you about marketing. We teach you about how to acquire new customers, how to use social media. I teach you all the programs and platforms that I use. I teach you everything that I wish I knew before I started my balloon garland business. The other course that I have is a balloon garland short course. So it basically just teaches you how to make a balloon garland. That course is more aimed at maybe parents who have kids who want to do some DIY party decorations, but they want them to look good and not tacky like the gross Kmart ones. If you would like to purchase either of my courses, you can use the discount code YouTube, all in capitals. That will get you 50% off. If you do buy the balloon garland business course, that also gives you direct access to me via our private Facebook group. In this group, you can ask questions, you can share photos, and I'm regularly posting in there of what my business is doing, how we're tracking, what we're bringing in each week, and I share all of the nitty-gritty details that you're wanting to ask. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time because I get asked all the time, like, how do I start a successful helium business? And I just don't think you should. Someone asked me the other day, will I bring helium back into my business? And I might. I would never just start helium. I would always be doing the balloon garland because that's where your profit is coming from. I'm gonna bring out a video next week which talks about how to upsell in your balloon business, of the different products you can bring in that don't add extra workload really onto you because you're already going to an install, but ways you can upsell extra items into your business. If that's of interest to you, make sure to subscribe and like this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. But thank you for watching, and I really do hope that if you're sitting at home and you're thinking, you know what, I could make some serious money off helium balloons, just don't do it. I just feel like if you have the time to do that, make a balloon garland instead, because it's going to be well worth it when it comes to profit margins specifically, but also the control that you have around it as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.